From the morgue to the mic, one student's flight from the American execution line. A compelling story has been spreading across the Chinese internet. It involves a young man known online as Lao A, his sudden flight from the United States, and a personal theory he calls the American execution line. His experience acts like a spotlight, revealing pressures and cracks within a system that many talk about but few see from his unique angle. Today we'll follow this story. Who is Lao A, whose real name is Alex? What events led him to flee the US so urgently? And why has his idea, framed in the language of video games, resonated so deeply, sparking conversations from online forums to academic circles? This narrative is more than a personal account. It is a case study that opens a window into contemporary societal anxieties. The nickname Lao A stuck because his content frequently faced platform restrictions. He was, until recently, a biomedical science graduate student in Seattle. Alongside his studies, he held a demanding part-time job as an assistant in a forensic pathology department. His journey into the public eye began unexpectedly. During a live stream on a cold, rainy Seattle night, footage of him interacting with and assisting a homeless child was clipped and shared online. This video segment went viral, amassing millions of views. Audiences were captivated by the contrast, a student of life sciences navigating the harsh realities of urban life and death. He cultivated his online presence through this distinctive lens. He often used metaphors from gaming culture to describe his grim work, sometimes referring to the deceased he encountered as Gundams and describing inescapable systemic poverty as being trapped by slimes. However, the power of his content came from the raw, human stories behind these terms. He shared encounters from his work, a former engineer who died by suicide under the weight of medical debt, or an unemployed individual who succumbed to the elements on a freezing night. These stories were not merely for shock value. They formed the essential groundwork for the broader social observation he would soon articulate. To conceptualize a form of systemic financial risk, Lao A employed a potent analogy from gaming terminology. He proposed that in the American economic and social system, an invisible threshold exists, a personal asset execution line. For illustration, he often cited a figure like $140,000. When an individual or family's net assets remain securely above this theoretical line, life generally feels stable and manageable. However, his theory suggests that falling below this line due to a major crisis, such as a critical illness, prolonged unemployment, or a lawsuit, triggers a catastrophic chain reaction. Like a video game character whose health drops below a critical point, an individual becomes vulnerable to being one-shot eliminated by the system. This manifests as a rapid, compounding spiral. Depleted savings lead to debt, damaged credit scores increase the cost of everything from loans to insurance, and the path back to stability becomes exponentially harder. The system, he argued, has few effective safeguards to catch those in this fall. This concept, combined with his visceral storytelling, ignited widespread discussion online. But with great attention came intense scrutiny and backlash. Major Western media outlets, including the New York Times, published reports framing his narratives as part of a coordinated Chinese propaganda effort. A particularly consequential article by a journalist disclosed his real name, his university, and his city of residence. The consequences escalated from online criticism to real-world threats. He reported experiencing harassment, including strangers approaching his residence. Fearing for his personal safety and citing a credible threat of being detained or questioned by immigration authorities, he made a drastic decision. He left behind most of his belongings and sought immediate assistance. His first stop was the Chinese embassy in the United States, which facilitated his swift departure from the country. He traveled through Canada and finally returned to his family home in China. This dramatic escape added a layer of geopolitical intrigue to his personal story, transforming it from an online discourse into an international incident. Interestingly, even as he left, voices within America echoed his observations. Some commentators and social workers acknowledged that while his delivery was theatrical, the core issues he highlighted, medical bankruptcy, unaffordable housing, and the fragility of the social safety net, were undeniable realities for millions. So, is this execution line merely a metaphor, or does it describe a mechanical truth of the system? Analysts point to underlying structural factors that give the theory weight. The first is the privatization of essential risks. In key areas like healthcare, higher education, and retirement, individuals in the U.S. bear a significant portion of the burden. The state often intervenes only after personal resources are exhausted, making families the primary shock absorbers for life's crises. The second factor is the economy's deep financialization. The system